interesting when I traveled around the world doing sermons and workshops. Their favorite song was Let It Be, particularly in Nigeria. They made us sing it over and over and over. So today we're going to learn how to decode unlikability and let it be. Because what we're going to realize is what Shalon Harkin said. The worst thing we ever did was put God in the sky out of reach. Yes, indeed. When there are unlikable people, what we're going to find out is that the unlikable person becomes our unexpected spiritual teacher. We're here to learn from the unlikable person. They force us to confront our own inner landscape and the judgments we use to distance ourselves from others. And in doing so, we're given an opportunity to practice genuine, unconditional love. Genuine, unconditional love, not the easy love that we give to people that are easy to love because they're so lovable, but all creation and all people. And so, if you don't like something, change it. If you can't change it, change your attitude, says Maya Angelou. She continues, you may not control all the events that happen to you, but you can decide not to be reduced by them. Maya Angelou, that beautiful, beautiful poet, said that. And so I would like to share with you an event that happened about me changing. A few weeks ago, I went to, wait for it, the dentist. I'm always talking about the dentist. I have so many things happening. And so when I got into the dentist, the technician told me that they were going to anesthetize 6 times in the roof of my mouth. So how would you react if somebody tells you they're going to poke you 6 times in the roof of your mouth? You could have said, oy vey, or oy double vey. But for some reason, I didn't say that. I thought about those pokes in the roof of my mouth, and I thought, I'm going to bless them. They're a blessing because what they are doing is they're protecting me during the surgery, during what's going to happen, and I'm going to really love them and appreciate them. I never thought at the beginning of the day that I would be appreciating those sticks in the roof of my mouth. It changed my entire view. So, to be unlikable can stem from negative traits like arrogance or insensitivity or dishonesty or being dismissive or overcritical. To struggle to have meaningful relationships or maintain friendships. So it also involves, this is what it really involves, self-awareness, so it can be a teacher of ours, and a willingness to change behavior. You know, we're taking a wonderful course, Reverend Jean and J. Michael are teaching, The Illusion of Money by Kyle Cease. And I want to tell you, years ago, in the olden days when I was librarian here at the Institute of Religious Science, whenever anybody would say something negative, somebody else would yell out, cancel, 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 cancel. So when you go visit the library, you'd hear a lot of cancel, 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 wherever you tread during that visit to the library. So in this great course I'm taking, The Illusion of Money by Kyle Cease. This is what he suggests that we do. Instead of saying cancel, 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 say, wait for it. I love that. Whatever it is, say, I love that. And realize what it's teaching you. I love that. And so I want to share with you what the Institute of Heart Math did about a study. I just love this Institute of Heart Math. They just make such fascinating studies about DNA and what have you. And so what this study told, it was the local and non-local effects of coherent heart frequencies on conformational changes in the DNA. Yes, indeed, the DNA. And so that's what they train people. They train people to actually emanate certain emotions. And so when these researchers, they were experts on expressing different emotions to see how it affected the DNA. So when the researchers felt gratitude and love and appreciation, guess what? The DNA relaxed. The DNA relaxed and became longer. It became longer. It just stretched. It was feeling so great. And when these researchers felt anger, fear, frustration, or stress, the DNA responded by tightening up and becoming shorter, and even switched off a lot of the DNA codes. Like music affects things also. For example, when you have plants and you're playing music by it, if you're playing soft, beautiful music, let's say classical music, the plants love it. They dig in and they grow and they grow and they grow. But when you play loud music like classic acid rock songs, guess what happens to the plants? They studied it. The plants literally die from that acid rock. And this isn't to put down acid rock, but I'm just sharing with you what happens when certain music is played. That's what happens to us in our DNA. Once the wonderful Trappist monk Thomas Merton ran into a Zen novice who had just finished the first year of his monastery training. And so Thomas Merton asked him, what did you learn during the first year of your novice training in the Trappist monastery? And he had sort of expected probably something to do with consciousness and everything else. So when he asked the question, the novice said, what I learned during the first year of my consciousness in the monastery was to open and close doors, to open and close doors. And boy, that was a really phenomenal answer to deal with what is happening, to not rush from one thing to another, to absolutely be cognizant of slowly opening and closing doors, to have that discipline not to act impetuously all the time, to not come running from one thing to another and slamming doors, to open and close doors. So today we're going to decode unlikability. We're going to explore this concept. We're going to differentiate between our personal preferences as opposed to the inherent worth of everything. We choose love over judgment. That's what we do. We can discover how to live in alignment with our values of oneness and unconditional love. I choose love even when I encounter something I don't like. Attachments come in pairs of opposites, like likes and dislikes. A liking for something usually comes along with a dislike for the opposite of what you like. For we talked about how music affects everything, and what you listen to on the radio affects everything. And also, when you're hungry and you go into the refrigerator, do you choose something that you like to eat or something that you don't like to eat? So you choose something you like, of course, between. Or when you're watching TV, are you watching a channel that you like the Hallmark Channel, or are you watching the Weather Channel or something else? Well, yes. What's wrong with depending on what you like? Well, it can become an addiction, and if sometime it doesn't appear, you can suffer great loss and great sadness, because if we live from our aspect of everything is one, then we can be really upset when those things aren't appear, like a loving relationship or somebody leaving the planet. Our happiness depends on just having the things our way, or knowing for sure that we are all one. Yes, indeed. So the science of mind point of view tells us, this is what Ernest Holmes tells us. We believe in the unity of all life. The unity of all life, and that the highest God and the innermost God is one God. The unity of all life. We believe that God is personal to all who feel this indwelling presence. You know, the other day when I was at yoga, Anu told the example of the sun. She said, the sun is shining no matter what goes on in front of it. If it's raining out, the sun is still shining underneath that. If it's a cloudy day, the sun is still shining. If it's snowing, the sun is still shining underneath it. If it's dark, 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 the sun is still shining. And that's what God is, in the omnipresence of God. No matter what anything looks like, the omnipresence of God is always there. So now it's time to shift from viewing the world with just our personal lens to knowing the hierarchy of life, that everything is one. And actually, when I say this, it may sound unusual, but nothing really is unlikable. It's all God expressing. And so we need to learn how to detach our personal dislikes versus inherent unlikability. Sometimes we assume that if we dislike something, everything is dislikable. But as the proverb says, remember this, that one person's trash is another person's treasure. From this perspective, nothing is truly unlikable. While there's nothing wrong with having preferences or disliking certain things, the challenge arises when we use our personal dislikes to justify eradication, to justify what we do. We work to notice and then distance ourselves from our personal dislikes. So detaching from our preferences opens us to more inclusively including everything as one. unconditional love for all life. We respect and honor everything. Do you avoid or get rid of unlikable things rather than trying to understand them? I want to tell you what happened to me some years ago when I was living in my other apartment. A fly flew into the apartment. And so normally you think you just get the fly swatter, but something made me accept this fly, and I always give everything a name. So what I named this fly was Freddie the Fly. And I talked to Freddie the Fly. I said, you can enjoy life with me here, Freddie, but you just cannot land on my skin. So that's what Freddie the Fly did for the next few days. He landed for the light that was on when I was reading. He landed everywhere, but he never landed on my skin. So what we did was recognize the interconnectedness of everything. Yes, indeed. We absolutely reacted that this beautiful specimen of humanity, of life, was fabulous. And what we did was we began to speak to ourselves as fabulous and not tell lies about ourselves by criticizing ourselves or judging ourselves. All of a sudden, we spoke to ourselves and we said to ourselves, self, you are extraordinary. Self, you are unique. Self, you are one of a kind. You are a beautiful specimen of humanity, and you are fabulous. And that brings to mind once again that Siobhan Harkin poem when she says, the worst thing we ever did is to pretend that God isn't the easiest thing in this universe, available to every soul in every breath. So what I want to share with you, this poem, which I have shared in the past, but it feels so good to share it, the poem, Still I Rise by Maya Angelou. Won't you enjoy this poem with me? You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still, like dust, I'll rise. You may shoot me with your words. You may cut me with your eyes. You may kill me with your hatefulness, but still, like air, I'll rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you upset with gloom? 'Cause I walk like I've got oil wells pumping in my living room. Just like moons and just like suns, with the certainty of tides, just like hope springing high. Still I rise. Did you want to see me broken, bowed head and lowered eyes, shoulders falling down like teardrops, weakened by my tearful cries? Does my haughtiness offend you? Don't you take it awful hard, 'cause I laugh like I got gold mines digging in my own backyard. You may shoot me with your words. You may cut me with your eyes. You may kill me with your hatefulness, but still like air I rise. Does my sexiness upset you? Does it come as a surprise that I dance like I've got diamonds at the meeting of my thighs? Out of the juts of history's shame, out of the juts of history's shame I rise. Out of a past that's rooted in pain, I rise. I'm a black ocean leaping and wide. Welling and swelling I bear in the tide, leaving behind nights of terror and fear. I rise into a daybreak that's wondrously clear. I rise. bringing the gifts my ancestors gave. I am the dream and the hopes of the slave. I rise, I rise, I rise. Won't you join me in the closing treatment today? Yes, indeed. Today I rise. I experience the oneness of everything. What I know is that we are all one, and we are all beautiful individuals of this one. Beautiful, individualized expression of this one. And we express our power, we express our peace, our harmony, our brilliance. That's what we do. We absolutely are living by the principle that God is one within all of us. And we feel so wonderful being ourselves. Yes, indeed. Not being unlikable or likable. It's all the omnipresence of God, the omnipotence of God. It's the beauty of God, the sharp consciousness of God. How wonderful it is to go forth and bless all of life, living by the principles that we are all one. How sweet it is, how beautiful it is. We decode what was called unlikableness. I'm so grateful to reveal these truths as I release them into that beautiful law of the universe, knowing indeed that that law loves these truths and instantaneously manifests them, even as I have now been speaking them. And together we say, and so it is. Amen and amen.